Ah. Welcome to Love Speaks Love, everybody who's here with us, and especially welcome to you, Julie.
Thanks for having me today, Denise. It's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure chatting to you, Julie. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Denise. I'm the host of Love Speaks Love, and my gorgeous guest, who has been with me a few times, this might be the fourth, I'm not sure, is Julie Dhara Roberts. And Julie has a bit of a science background, a bit of a, was it astronautics? What was it you studied?
Yeah. Can I remember? Aeronautical engineering is my technical degree in.
So Julie, yeah, came from that background, but also a bit of a yoga background as well.
Spent more time in yoga than I have in engineering, for sure. It's all the same though. It's all light code engineering in hindsight.
Yeah, true.
It's all training for the now.
And you know a lot of stuff, like you, I'm interested in loads of the same things, but I just I don't retain the information at all. But you're amazing. You just hold it all in there and can reel it all off. I'm gonna put my glasses
Your glasses are like purple. You're like violet ray coated today. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, there.
Yeah.
These are my rose tinted spectacles. This is what I look at the world through.
Perfect.
I think so. Okay, so people are starting to gather. Welcome, everybody. So let's do our little heart-to-heart connect, and I shall hand over at the end to you as well, Julie, just in case there's anything you wish to add to this little heart-to-heart connect. Okay, so let us bring our awareness to this now moment. Bring our presence to this now moment. And bring our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. And let us breathe love into our beautiful hearts. And releasing anything your body wishes to let go of on the out breath. Anything that might be stopping you from being in this now moment. And feel free to make any sounds that you wish on your out breath. And let us breathe in love and joy. And feeling that love and joy moving to every cell of our bodies. And if we have a little smile on our face, let us transfer that smile to all of our cells. Let us visualize every cell in our body, all those trillions of cells, with a happy, smiley face. And as we extend our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia, feeling our beautiful heart connection to Gaia, feeling her love for us moving into every cell, feeling her gratitude and her recognition of all of us. And let us extend that heart awareness out to the heart of the sun, connecting our hearts to the solar logos, to the solar codes, and feeling that beautiful solar energy moving into our bodies, into our hearts, and extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Source Creator, Divine Being, and feeling the love from Source Creator moving into our hearts, into every cell. And feeling the heart connection between myself and Julie everybody watching us live, everybody watching on the replay or on YouTube. And feeling all of our hearts beating as one in this one unified field of love. And handing over to you, Julie, if there's anything that you wish to add.
Thanks, Denise. So in this beautiful connection space that Denise just guided us into, feel how that works from your heart up into the cosmos, to the sun and to the galactic core. Let's make that similar connection into the core of the planet that we live on. So we'll add, like, that was the upper triangle or pyramid, if you will, and let's add in together the awareness of the lower, the below the surface, the inner suns. So start with your awareness in your own soul center, your own solar plexus. So go down a level from the heart space or the heart grid that's up in the chest, and down to the base of your rib cage, to the top of the abdomen. And connect to your inner sun. And let each breath connect you to this luminous quality that is this radiant part of your being. And then take the elevator of your awareness down to the floor, whether you're sitting in a chair or standing, or maybe you're in your car driving, like to the place of you that touches the earth, the feet, the hips, the legs. And then bring your attention down underground, deep into the earth. And keep going deep, deep, deep. And connect with this energetic space that some folks call the inner earth. The vacuous space of everything that's inside the planet. And connect to the inner earth sun. And take some breaths up and down your light column. So you are the conduit between earth core and solar core. And let your light pillar, your light column, your ascension column, descension column, fill it with light as you breathe in and out, up and down. For truly, we are the bridges between sky and earth, between galaxy and planet. It's our awareness, our calling in and co-creating with light that is really driving this planetary shift, this change that we're all feeling, that we're all a part of. Can we do a little toning, Denise? I'm going to lead us in some toning, okay? So let's do an Om, everyone, together. That's like universal language, right? Oh. And then a few other planetary healing sounds. One is ah, just a straight vowel sound of ah. Take a nice breath in and we'll do it together. Ah. And then deeper still, personally, I feel this one more in the lower abdomen and pelvis. And the third planetary balancing sound is Hu, H-U. Nice breath in. And here we are in this sacred connection, in this sacred space. Keeping that connection. If you have your eyes closed, you can open them again and start our lip dialogue, even though the dialogue's already quite, quite flowing, right?
That was awesome. Thank you.
That was fun to do it together.
Yeah, I did it as quietly as I could, because Zoom doesn't like when things are at the,
Right.
it freaks it out. So I didn't want it to take away from your sound. So I kind of very gently hewed and ahed and owned. Okay, that was awesome. I like that. I like when other people do that too, because it always gives me ideas.
And can I plunge us right into what I want to talk to you about today?
Yes.
So the thing that has come to me as I was connecting with what's like a highest aligned for us to talk about on this day is the Mars and Venus activities, like the planetary Merkaba. So really like that opening guided visualization meditation that we just co-created together without planning it, people that are watching. It was the perfect, like the Mars and Venus conjunctions.
Oh, it's invisible.
Oh yeah, that's not that useful. We're gonna have to put it on my forehead.
There we go.
Because I have my background. And it's extra geeky. So the Merkaba, the two, if people are familiar with Merkaba, is the vehicle of light, or your light body vehicle. The Merkaba, the spirit body, whatever the third one is. It's not in my brain right now, but the light, of course. But so on March 12th, which is 2 days from when we're recording this, Mars and Venus conjunct in the sky. And it's a third part of 3. So the first one was July 12th last summer, or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And February 12th, they conjuncted again this year, 2022, and now March 12th. So fascinating to me that they're all on the 12s, right? Like how often does, so like a 3-part thing like that is partially because probably we've heard the planetary retrograde, Venus did a little backwards and then forwards, like it moved, they were dancing around each other in the sky. So in July, when the Mars-Venus conjunction came, for me, it was like very, very much about the planetary Merkaba, like moving. They were also in the sky near the Beehive cluster in the Cancer constellation, the crab. So the Beehive cluster, like around then, I felt this, in Venus spins counterclockwise in the solar system than to the rest of the planets. So like Mars and Venus came together, and I really felt their pyramidal qualities, like hooking in and activating a planetary Merkaba. So we individually have our light body vehicles, but then the planet we live on as a being itself has a Merkaba, a light body vehicle. Then in February, Mars and Venus came together again, and in the sky. And the place that they were in the sky was near the Milky Way. It was in the Sagittarius constellation, but it was like kind of on the edge of the Milky Way. And the day that they came together, Pluto and Mercury were also kind of next to them. They weren't like all conjuncting, but they were right by each other in the sky. So in the February time, what came to me to work with energetically for that was the polarity of Pluto and Mercury. Pluto being the furthest away planet and super, super cold. Mercury being the closest planet to the sun and it's really warm. It's like the the polar opposites of the solar system and bringing them together as one. You know, we kind of live on a planet of some levels of Earth are in polarity right now. You know, and some of us are helping to conduct that up into the light and into the unified phase, right? So, and then like now percolating into March, it's like, ooh, so I'm not like a, you know, a lot of astrologers will like predict what the energies are supposed to feel like. We've talked about this before. For me, and like, I'd rather just go through the gateway and feel it myself. And then it's like, so it's fresh and new codes coming through, like give the whole thing a new. So it's like percolating into like what's coming in, you know, now we're in it. Doesn't mean like we have to wait till March 12th because today's March 10th, right? We're in it. The planets are coming together. So I was checking out this morning for our chat where Mars and Venus are in the sky today. And they're with Capricorn, the sea goat. And I was just contemplating in general, you know, it's interesting how it's the week before equinox also, right? And it's interesting that the sea goat got such top billing in the zodiac. Like, what's a sea goat? Who's ever heard of a sea? You know, it's just kind of like like what that myth, you know, like the rest of them are like, okay, the twins, like they'll show up a lot of places, right? Like the water bear, the this and that. But it's like even when you go to read about the sea goat, it's a very subset of mythology. Like it's not like one of the most talked about things. But the thing that came through this morning for sure that seemed really important is that in the myths, the sea goats were like in the water, but they were being chased by whatever sea monster. Different myths have different sea monsters, whether it's Cetus or Titan or like, you know, whatever, the sea monsters. And so to protect themselves, they kind of crawled up onto shore and then they'd go back. So they're crawling up onto shore and they're like really a shapeshifter, like a mermaid, merman, a silky, it's one of the aquatic animals that shifts shapes into like human form or animal form / aquatic form. So that's interesting in the sea goat turn, but they were running or they were moving away from Kronos. The like Kronos had like unleashed the sea beast towards them. Anyway, that was like a whole, that like part of the myth. I was like, oh, okay. So we're in this Capricorn sea goat morphing from water world to land based. And it kind of goes along with a lot of the other things that are happening around the globe at the current time. And I know there's a lot of things I just flew at you. I can see you want to say something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that was what struck me when you said about the sea goat. It was the two realms, like bridging those two. Oh, and I'm doing a figure of 8 as I say that, bridging those two realms. And the figure of 8 gets me into the polarity and those coming together that creates the third energy. And there was a lot of 3s in that. So 12, 12, 12, numerologically is 3, 3, 3. And you've got the 3 sides to, you know, one of the faces of the tetrahedron, which is
right.
Yeah,
it's a star tetrahedron. This sacred geometrical shape we're talking about.
Yeah, so there's
tetrahedrons. Cool.
And the Merkaba is 2 tetrahedrons, which makes a star tetrahedron.
Right.
So there's lots and lots of 3s in that. And also to mention at this point that the equinox is on Sunday the 20th. So that's like bringing in another 2. But in England, the time of the equinox is 3:33 p.m.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fun. So it's the crystallization time of.
Oh, okay. So what I'm doing on that day, I'm trusting that this is going to happen. We're kind of talking about it, but I most likely getting together with some of the Melchizedek family. So with Richard Melchizedek and Ryan Melchizedek and their 2 beloveds, so Rosalie and is it Rhea? Reza, I think. And so I think we're not going to do this online, but we're going to encourage people to join us. So I've been creating in the garden a crystalline rose portal. That's some of the grid work that I've been doing, and I only really recently realized that was the name that I got for it, like a rose portal. And I feel it's a crystalline rose. And so I've got these tiny little rose quartz roses that are tiny, like they're maybe that big. They're really, really small, not even a centimeter, I would say. And I'm going to put those in the earth and then have people around the world joining, putting rose quartz in the earth, which I feel is going to, because they're connecting to this rose quartz or this rose portal, this crystalline rose portal, I feel anyone who's connecting in with that, I see loads of these rose portals then kind of like spreading, and through the actions then activating these crystalline roses. So it's interesting that you say about 333 being crystalline as well, bringing in that crystalline frequency.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So the, I don't know how to say this well, like for me, I feel like the equinox codes came in like late February. So I feel like this is weird to say out loud, but I feel like I'm done. Like I've already done the equinox and I'm on to other things. Not that the like actual date of it won't be things, but like when you're, you know, the gates open when they open, and they are not necessarily to do with the calendar date. So I guess is it all right if I talk a little bit about like celestial gatekeeping and what that means to me in general? Because I maybe should have even started with that. I feel like that's a good, I've been called, like my soul is called to pay attention to all these things, like, because they just light me up. And that's just like in my kind of my own time, in my own way. And several years back when I started sharing about them, I realized that like, oh, they kind of light other people up too. So it's just a fun thing to share about, you know?
I just interrupt you before you start.
Yeah.
That was going to be my first question today, and I completely forgot to ask it. What's lighting you up? So you answered that without me asking it. Carry on.
What's lighting me up, like currently or just in general in life, or
General, but you're kind of
yeah. So
already.
I had this, so gatekeeping, that role is like a light, you know, in the light world is like a gate is an opening that sometimes can close and can open, right? Like a gate itself, like to let you into the yard or into the park or into the seaport. So light codes, information come from different sources, from the sun, from stars, really in our galaxy and beyond. And when it's time for a gate to open, or gates open, and so some folks have, like gatekeeping is sort of like making sure the right information comes through at the right time, like keeping the flow, being a channel, a conduit of the information to come through. And part of, like, an important part of that is like sharing it out, which is why it's sweet to have time for us to get together and, you know, we could do these things quietly. And that's a lot of us do, and a lot of you watching probably do. But then like when we start talking about it and sharing it to each other, that's when like it gets even extra sparkly and it comes alive, right? So celestial gatekeeping for me is really keeping track of the alignments on the celestial sphere, which is the, like if we were in a planetarium, like the projection of the night sky, you know, what's happening from our view on Earth. Because, you know, like Mars and Venus aren't actually moving next to each other, right? In real world, they're just like as we see them from Earth and our sky. But these celestial stargates is one facet of stargates. You know, some stargates are more for travel corridors or for like wormholes and that sort of thing. But the celestial or star code stargates are alignments, astronomical alignments that are like key codes that open up the gates. So there's like a certain amount of information that will come by Mars and Venus being near each other in the night sky, but except this is morning sky. So if you wanted to see Mars and Venus together at any of the next few nights, Denise and I were sharing that we live in places with lots of clouds, water vapor. So you have to pick any time before or after, you know, whatever you have the morning view, but it's a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. viewable event, not a nighttime. So because they're both Mars and Venus are morning stars right now. But so celestial gatekeeping is really just paying attention to what alignments are happening and uncovering a little bit, like for me, it's like, oh, that like those little geeky moments of like the myths and how they come together. And then there's global events right now that I don't think we should talk about it, or I don't want to talk about it too much in our hour together, but there's a lot of global events that are pointing people towards the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and like that like the Greek mythology is like steeped in all that, you know, that landscape, right? So like the constellations take us back to those ancient parables, if you will, about energy moving. And so like the sea goats, and then, you know, Cetus, the sea monster, and like a lot of that, a lot of us grid workers are spending time, or energy, you know, pumping the Black Sea full of as much goodness and light, say, as we can, or realizing like what the transformation or the current geopolitical things that are happening, like there's always a larger view picture to what's happening too, right? So it's like we're unlocking a lot of that, like that whole landscape there that is undergoing, you know, certain struggles, battles. It's like, what's that opening collectively, like for the planet too. So it's just a super interesting time to be alive and to be working with some of this work. And I kind of got off on a little, but like the gatekeeping is really, it's like, it's, you put your particles of attention, that's your currency. Your attention is your currency, where you put your energy, where you put your mind, where you put your heart. So like you're paying forward into new earth, good codes, ascension happening by paying attention to the highest and brightest of what's possible. Right. So like gatekeeping for me, like what that lights me up, it's like, oh, that's like, it can help you get out of the seemingly loopy struggles of the human situation, and just like seeing like bigger picture things. And so anyway, like I've been called to pay attention to a lot of these things just by my own inner longing and soul. And then a few years back when I started sharing about them, it was like, oh, other people want to hear this stuff too? Like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like I could like, people want to hear these little things that float around in my mind all day. So it's been fun to like have more and more expression out in the world of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's dropping in for me is the Mars Venus. You know, that to me is peace and war as well. It's
Right.
like those polarities coming together too.
Yes.
You know, the masculine and the feminine, like it's like all of Earth's biggest polarities really that you think of come together in those conjunctions. And yet, I guess you could say it's also bringing love to the war, or war to the love, like whichever way you want to look at it. It's kind of those two coming together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, or that puts a lot of like human assignments on them too. It's like either the masculine or feminine love. It's more of the, it's like terrestrial. Like the difference in Mars and Venus too for me is like at least right now. And Mars is like used to be a water world before it all dried out. Right, Mars still has ice on the poles, and like Mars is that like pouring of passion and like. But it's right now it's terrestrial, like it's very rocky. And Venus is like almost pure plasma, like clouds and amorphous energy. And like to me, Venus speaks more to that transformation, like we were talking about the water world from aquatic to land-based. It has more, just like we don't see, it's like it's not about the surface. Whereas like Mars, you know, we land things on the surface. We look at the surface. It's rocky. We drive. We as a human race have these robot rovers now that are like driving on the surface. Like we're never going to have that with Venus because of Venus's atmosphere, because it's so it's just a different, in current modern solar system. Venus is like really, we wouldn't get through the clouds there. We don't even know what the surface of it looks like. It's more about the plasma and the atmosphere is what we can glean here from Earth. So they're like opposite in those ways too.
And is there more about the Capricorn aspect as well? Like you said about the, you know, the land and the sea. Is there more about them being or appearing so close to Capricorn? Are there other like qualities or other aspects that that kind of brings into the equation?
I'm sure. Well, the thing that was really the most sparkly for me this morning when I was preparing notes and whatnot to chat with you, and the link for me, you know, I said I was sort of done with work, equinox work, gatekeeping work. I put in quotes because it's just fun. It's not work. But I've been shown this other thing to pay attention to. So as I was talking about the Black Sea and just in general, Mediterranean, and the cetus and the sea monsters and sea dragons and seahorses and whales, like the aquatic creatures, be them elementals, light creatures, or the actual physical mammals like the whales here on Earth, have been really predominantly loud and speaking to me a lot the last few months. They do always, but like the cetus, and I've had other people like, we're like unleash the Kraken, you know, like that's sort of what's happened in the globe, like, you know, like at the end of February. It's like this whole underworld or underwater world is coming more into communication. So the little factoid of nugget that I put together this morning is I've been paying attention to a lot of Cetus alignments. So Cetus is also a constellation. And just that the Capricorn was like being chased by Cetus, the sea monster. And like, that's why he made his transformation onto land. It was like one of those little, I still haven't unpacked it all the way, but can I geek out a little about the Cetus thing? So, you know, the ecliptic is the path of the sun and the moon through the sky. That is a certain line. Now the celestial equator is a projection of our terrestrial equator, the Earth equator, up onto the sky. So those are two different pathways, two different lines. So the constellations that are along the ecliptic are the zodiac constellations, which we're familiar with hearing, you know, Gemini and Pisces and Aries. And so there is a whole series of constellations across the celestial equator. And that's a whole, I don't have them all at the tip of my head, but they include Orion, they include Monoceros, the unicorn, they include Cetus, the whale or sea monster. It's just like a slightly different trajectory or pathway, but there's celestial gates to be had there too. So the equinox is a very specific place where the sun goes into the sky, where the ecliptic and the celestial equator meet. When the sun moves to that point, that's what is an equinox. So the equinox is a gate in itself. It's like the merging of the ecliptic and the celestial. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the sun path. So it is just kind of arbitrary, or not arbitrary, but there's like the scientists, the astronomers will take sections of the sky and literally box them off. Kind of like sections of, you know, like I own my house and we have a land plot, right? So constellations are a sky plot. And so the box that's drawn around Cetus, the sea monster, or Cetus, the whale constellation, the very tip corner of it gets close to the ecliptic, to the sun path. Now, occasionally some planets, the planets don't go exactly on the ecliptic. That's the line of the sun. They're pretty close, but they can be 5 degrees lower or 8 degrees lower. So sometimes Venus, especially, like last April, Venus went into the Cetus constellation. And like a lot of us, it took me a few months after that to realize, like, we're hearing from the whales, the whales, the whales. What do they have to do? Like, oh, it's like when you're the keeper of the codes or you're listening to the codes. So the day that the sun moves, it never actually goes into Cetus, the sea monster constellation, but it like clips the corner of the edge. Does that make any sense? Like it goes near enough to it where it's part of the ray. And I'll put a blog up. I'm writing a blog about this, and I have pictures from my star app, so it'll make more sense if people want to. I'll put the links under here when we get done with this. But so the sun is moving into that little corner of Cetus, the sea monster constellation, on March 26th this month too. So there's just like this whole aquatic underworld, and you know, I'd be remiss not to mention Atlantis. Like, we're bringing up the temples of Atlantis, like the purification, or bringing to the forefront the gifts, the crystalline gifts and the technologies that we used in the last golden age through like the Atlantean technologies, and allowing the stories, the distortions, the struggles, the power struggles to dissolve away.
And
That was a
interesting
mouthful
that there's, I was just going to say, interesting you mentioned the water as well. You know, we've had a lot of rain around here recently. There's been floods in Australia. Like, water just feels very prominent to us, or certainly to me in my world, but I don't think it's just me. I think water just feels very, very prominent at the moment. And I guess we could equate that to emotions too. So, you know, maybe that is, people are experiencing that as emotions coming up, you know, feeling all the feels presently. That,
and Jupiter and the sun just conjuncted in the, you know, Aquarius is the water bearer, and she's like pouring out this like from her bucket or from her chalice well. Jupiter and the sun conjuncted in that pour of water a lot of the time when all the floods were happening. In Jupiter, that general energy of the planetary energy is expansive and makes things bigger, right, and more visible. But yeah, and then this section of the sky that the sun is in, and a lot of the planets are kind of clustered together by the sun right now. So Pisces, Aquarius, Cetus, like Radnus, the river constellation, like there's like, it's called the water section of the sky. So it's kind of like we're in the water. If you look at this like celestial gate overall. Yes, and water. But also this, like, there's a whole like temples of Poseidon, underwater cities, underwater pyramids, surface of the floor, and the whales, the physical whales that are on the planet now are like conducting a lot of they do a lot of longitudinal magnetic grid work and the lines of like the song lines of the whales and sound coding, and it's such an exciting time. There's so much going on. It's hard to even like pick a thing to talk about, but it's like all these things together. It's like all within a week. You know, we've heard like a long time, like 2022 is going to be this powerful year. It's like, oh, yeah, it is. It's like bing, 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 bing. It's like, okay, equinox, and then you get this one, and then you get this alignment, and then you get this gateway, and then it's just like,
I can't believe it's 6 months since the since the last equinox. Yeah, it feels very, very recent, and that we're about to do all the clock changes as well. Like, really, we've only just done that.
Yeah,
it certainly is flying this year. I'm like, yeah, we're just about in March. It's already the 10th. We're like a third of the way.
Yeah, just about in March, right? It's like we're gonna be, yeah, the April zone, but the March has a lot. So this, you know, just all of us being, I say that your attention is your currency. And so any one of us, you know, these times to be on planet Earth are, they're testing our mettle, if you will, of like, can you keep a positive outcome? Like, can you keep yourself in a positive space, emotionally, mentally, physically? And maybe that's part of that planetary Merkaba. There's some way that these 3-part conjunction is like, we're at the tail end, right? It finishes up and like bookends or completes. But it does really feel like it's like, can we keep, through all that we're going through, can we keep our attention on the highest? Can you think the thoughts of the earth you want to build for your children and their children, and so on, and your cat children, and you know, the generations to come? Like, how do we really stay positive forces of light and love? And it's like, shows like, you know, the Love Speaks Love. It's like great to talk to you today, because it's you know, the more of us that are doing this, the love and light coding.
Yeah, and in that it's okay to fall out of that space as well, that we may not be in it, like in that heart field, or, you know, in that positive space all the time, that we're probably going to have dips in that.
Well, isn't that what, like, facing the Kraken and going into your underwater cave, and like it has pushed everyone these last few weeks. Like we thought we had it last year with the pandemic and the whatever thing. We've pushed ourselves, like we are being mined for the parts of you inside that are still holding fear. It's like, these are like the cataclysmic, like end time narratives and the distortions around all that playing out and being like purged from our fields so that we can hold more light. But yeah, for indeed, it doesn't mean you're not like curled up in a ball, bawling your eyes out sometimes, or like in physical pain from some eruption of something in your body, like a certain joint wants to release a certain story, or yeah, it's not all like, it's not all roses and crystals. It's gooey. It's like the underbelly and the like, when you get especially into that ocean floory, you know, the deep gooey dark layer underneath. Oh, that's another here or there, but the Black Sea, that's showing like, because it has is very interesting energetically, that sea, and to work with it, because the blackness is like the bottom layer doesn't get, it's really deep, and the bottom layer doesn't really get any, it's anoxic, no oxygen down there, which doesn't mean it doesn't have an array of life. There's an anoxic bacteria and things like that, but the top layer, and it gets, oh, that's the other part that was big for that February. The most of the eastern half of Europe, the major rivers drain into the Black Sea, but the Black Sea is quite small compared to like the Mediterranean or compared to, say, the Atlantic. But it has, so the salinity of the Black Sea, it's like less salty. And it has this, the filtration point is the Bosphorus Strait that goes by Istanbul through Turkey, like out into near Greece, and then out into, it's the Marmara Sea, however you say that, Marmara Sea, and then out into the Mediterranean. But the Bosphorus Strait, because the influx of all the rivers of Eastern Europe are into the Black Sea, it has this like pressure differential. So it pushes water through the Bosphorus Strait, and then underneath, it's like moving it like in these layers at the same time. And it has this, like you're breathing out the toxins or the release or the old goo as the same time, simultaneously you're breathing in. So it's like that energy is what we're in right now. We're like, it's both, and it's like we're bringing in the most light. It's like, it's the highest, the light codes that are coming right now, like the sun. It's, to me, doesn't it feel that way? It's like, it's the most luminous, most amazing, like the light is like this nectar that you could drink and like bring into your system. And we're living in like these times that feel like it's the darkest and deepest and gooeyest. It's both and.
There's a parallel to that in the, like you say, it's like we're breathing in and breathing out at the same time. It's like all these energies are coming in, and we say this a lot, that there used to be space, you'd have integration time, you'd have release time, blah blah, but it's going like this, but it's also, while that's going, there's another one that's coming at the same time. Like the integration is happening while we're receiving the next lot of it's all so much happening simultaneously, and we couldn't have done that 2 years ago.
Yeah, we weren't
5
coded.
years ago.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really great point.
Yeah, interesting.
Like we've been training for this moment all these other years. Like, okay.
Yeah. So what else you got there?
Oh, lots of things.
Actually, can I just bring in fascia?
Oh,
So
I was going to talk, when you brought the fascia up on your Facebook wall, and I was like, that's what we're going to talk about, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like sort of a fascia geek, and the fascia, I've been working with fascia for a long time, and like fascia is the light body. It's like your light conductive, like neural, you know, all that. Like, it's like when you put your post up, I was like, oh, Denise and I could talk about fascia for.
But there's also, yeah, I'm going to geek out about my fascia stuff now. So the collagenous, I get like, oh, so much wants to come through. I don't know what words to like.
Bring it, girl, bring it.
First. So okay, fascia is fluid and it's solid. It's both. So you've got the what they call ground substance for the fluid. That's what the fluid's named, which doesn't do it for me at all. Like maybe fluid substance, but
Well,
what
that's
a
like
name.
plasma to me.
Exactly,
It's plasma.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like physical light-ish,
yeah.
like liquid light. Yeah.
And they say that it's these tubules, but that for me gives the wrong. Tubule to me has like an outside and it has something on the inside, whereas to me the outside is the same as the inside and the inside is the same as the outside. It's not like, because you can see, when you see living fascia, you can see liquid running down the outside of the walls as well.
Mhm.
Like it just feels like it's all one substance.
Can I say it a different way to make sure I understand what you're saying? So instead of thinking of it as a hollow tube that something runs through, it's a gossamer strand. Like it's a strand, almost like a spider web. Like it's a strand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. And so the collagen, when it's building up, is it's a triple helix.
Ah.
So that's what gives it its strength. And so since I've been working with my fascia and really pushing fascia to the, not pushing, that's not the right word, but I've been encouraging my fascia to expand in the places where it's been contracted from. And in doing that, I can feel massive differences in my body. Like obviously things are, you know, muscles that maybe would have been a bit stuck, they're gliding over each other better because the fascia is more liquefied. It's less crunchy. But I can also feel more of my essence is in my body since I'm strengthening my fascia, which, as you say, is the light network in the body. I can feel. When I went for a walk the other day, it'd been a couple of weeks, and I was wearing the clothes that I normally go for a walk in, and I felt like, oh, my clothes feel really different on my body. And then I thought, nah, it's my body that feels really different in the clothes. So I can feel that my body's lighter. I can feel that more of me, my true, you know, higher Denise or whatever you want to name it, is present in my body, because there's more of this substance, this light substance, this plasma to latch onto, to kind of like connect with and hold. Does that make sense?
It does. As someone who, you know, I spent a few decades teaching movement-based awareness, body, you know, yoga things. I always used to say that or I still say, but I'm not teaching anymore. So it's like I used to say that the fascia net to me is like it's like the ether band. To me, I associate it with akasha or ether of the body. And in that way, it holds the memory of the stories.
Yeah.
So like the trauma or the things that we don't, like the things we want to release, we were to go back to that darkness place of like, oh, whatever, I got into a car accident in 1997 and like this part of my neck is holding that story of the trauma, the impact, the collision. And it doesn't, some of them are physical and some of them are emotional moments. It's like the whole storehouse of everything that's happened to you in form. And then when you work with your fascia and like, you know, move it or roll around on balls or, you know, do whatever you do to move it, it helps to like release that distortion from the field of your body. Like it releases that old story. You don't have to carry that along anymore, and thereby makes more space in your field and your physical form. And then that coherency that we're looking at, like, it's like this one part, you know, it's like, oh, my left arm and shoulder are not like coherent with the rest of my form. You know, they were holding like a different twist or a different pattern or a different. So I feel like it's the play in the fascia where we'll find that coherency in the field. Or that's a doorway in, like a physical, tangible way to get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the same way that water holds memory, it's like it's not technically water, but it's like it's held in the liquid part, in the fluid.
Right. Well, the plasma, it's like the fourth stage of water, right? The fourth. So it's like the plasma water.
Yeah, nice.
Right. Oh, it makes me want to go stretch. Like, let's go move.
So the fascia stretching that I've been learning is relatively new. It's a different way of stretching. So if, for example, let me see if I can describe this without doing it. So if you were to do child's pose and you're on all fours, what you would do with your hand is either push into the ground or use the muscles as if your hands are going to come into your body like this. So they're in front of you, but you're pressing down, and the muscles that you're activating, it's as if you're going to pull your hands in, but you're not keeping them still. And then from that point, you lean back. So you've activated the muscles. So the fascia kind of stretches with you. And also in massaging. So I've been getting a lot of pain for months in that tiny little space in that knuckle. So I've been massaging there, but also going down my arm, because more likely it's something that's higher up. So the fascia beneath my arm has been very stuck in that subscapular area, but also up here, but also down my arm. So if you track down from your finger, and then you'll find like a sore spot. So let me just see if I can find a sore spot. It's usually not as hard to find sore spots. This is amazing. Okay, so ow, got one. So at that point, if you apply a little bit of pressure, but then you move, so you're moving the fascia. So me doing this, or do it that way, or I'm finding, I don't know if you can hear the cracks, but the figure of eights, really, really helpful for that. So that is then encouraging the fascia to go into places that maybe it wasn't as much into before. I was going to say something else, it's gone. Have you got something to add to that?
No, it's good, that isometric contraction and like the PNF is a whole like style of stretching that, yeah, it's like you're pinning one area still so that like the rest of it can like ooze and goo. It's cool. There's so many different ways to play it. I'm so glad you found some ways that are like working for you. It's so fun when you know, when you find the right thing like that.
And the cracks in my body, that's what I was going to say, like the cracks in the pops. Careful not to mix those two words together there. They feel more spacious, like the sound of the pops feels like there's less muffling to them. So I don't know if you find this in your sound healing. When I have the chimes on the body, something I found a long time ago when I first started using them was that when the body was quite clogged with energy, the sound would be quite muffled, and I would think that the chimes were broken, and I'd lift them up. As soon as I got them out of the body, they'd start resonating. Put them back in, they'd be muffled. And I'm finding the same thing with the pops and the cracks in my body. It's much more spacious, it's much less muffled. And because the fascia is one organ that runs throughout the whole body and connects everything to everything, yet the paradox is that it creates a separation within the body as well, because it keeps things apart, because it has to, or else we'd just be like mush. So if I'm working, say, on my shoulder, and then I stand up from the position and my ankle will crack or my knee will crack. So you can feel that because you've stretched it here, you can feel the stretch in other parts of your body.
Have you found the Tom Myers stuff yet?
Yes.
Okay. And then Gil Headley. Have you watched any of his videos? Anyway, whatever.
I think he's been mentioned, but I've seen one, but I haven't watched it yet. But the other person is David Lesondak as well. I just bought his fascia book, What Fascia Is and Why It Matters.
It's a lot of it is that, so it's like that, if we talk about that plasma net of the body, it's like the whole, it's so true. It's like cool. It's like you release the fascia here, but it's your, you know, your left pinky toe that you're like, oh wow, it's freed like it's never been before. It's like, it's fun.
It has really blown my mind, and I do feel that it's I just think it's a key to so many different things that we haven't. And even, you know, when people have scans, whatever scan you're having at the moment, whether it's an MRI scan, CT scan, X-ray, ultrasound, yeah, a scan.
Scum. I was like, okay. When people have scans, yes,
it won't show up the fascia. So we've always focused on the organs, and fascia has been that stuff that's in the way of the organ, that covering that is in the way of the organ. So we don't actually know how the fascia is to those organs that are not working very well. And I have a feeling that when we have healthy fascia, it helps everything else to be healthy. So for example, the fascia carries insulin around. I have a feeling that with diabetes, I do wonder what the fascia is like that is around the pancreas. You know, it could well be that we're missing a lot of things with our diagnosis. So for example, a knee replacement, someone might have a knee replacement because it's believed that the joint is not doing very well. But if the fascia is not healthy, then having the knee replacement won't make a difference, because it's actually the fascia that causes the knee problem.
The forces that are playing tug of war on the knee are still, or that, you know, you can have whether it's a bone adjustment, like chiropractic adjustment, or you can do all the stretching of a muscle, you can get massage, or you can do stretching for it. The fascia is the memory foam of the body. And so like the fascia, if you don't address it at the fascial layer, it's like the forces that are still in place are just gonna, you know, it's like you get that temporary relief and then it goes back a few days later. So it's like the fascia clearing is, it's starting at the more subtle layer too. And you have to get you don't have to do anything, but it works really well. You have to really like work your subtle awareness, and it's like less is more, and like you're doing things that are slow, conscious. And you know, sometimes I say like I got out of the yoga biz just in time before, like this country anyway, like hot yoga and move, how fast can you move, how much can you sweat, and how much can you feel, like in the, like, you know, that's like taken over most of the popular cities of yoga. And so it's like, well, those of us that want to like soften and stretch and get gooey and like that's, but it takes a lot more. It's like advanced in the way that it's a little bit easier to go in and like shove your body into poses and like work yourself into like a fitness frenzy, you know, like it's easier for the mind. It's like for the body, you know, it's like getting to that subtle layer of goo and like allowing it to unwind. It does take.
And if you want to feel, you kind of have to do it slowly. When you're doing it so fast, you can't feel.
Right. Well, it doesn't, it's kind of like taking a rubber band and just like stretching it and letting it go straight. You know, it's like, it's not, the fascial work is just so much more intricate and delicate and slow.
And if you massage,
I really could talk to you all day. I have a hard out because I have little people that I have to pick up. But I'm not saying like I have to go right this second, but I've like, I don't know.
How long have you got?
Time. A couple, like 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Right, we can do that. I was just going to say, just agree with you with the massage as well. So I've actually managed to make these muscles, they're still a bit hard now, but I got them soft the first time that I can remember. And one of the ways is almost to stretch it. It's like giving the fascia space so that it knows that that space is there for it to go into. And whatever you're doing with the massage, do it slow and then do it slower. And that's what your body will be asking for. And it's quite hard to do. You know, it's quite hard to get in. We're not used to being in that frame. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we tootle?
Well, it kind of like to wrap up the sum, it does go into the whole, if we're talking about the like the Merkaba and the like embodiment and connecting with the planetary body and, you know, talking about the fascia, like it's all, everything we talked about feels connected to me, you know, in that woven conversational way, but that we have this opportunity to, you know, these gateways that are here for us now, be it the Mars Venus or the equinox or the more obscure Cetus one that I talked about, or then they're going to be coming. And then as we move into April, the end of April is the eclipse. There's another eclipse corridor. And it's like just using these opportunities to make the, you know, like what you're talking about, it's like the fabric of the human, like you affecting the fabric of your being does affect the planet. It's like we're microcosms of the whole. And what we do on this planet does cluster out and affect the whole solar system and then the whole galaxy. So it's, you know, we should always take the opportunity to work on the physical form, and know that that ripples through the galaxies, through the multiverse.
Yeah, nice.
So
Nice.
it's like, imagine you doing like, you know, your fascia work. It's actually like it's going to show up on the planet as like that part of, you know, you can put whatever mandala effect you want onto your own body. Like, this is my North Pole, that's my South Pole. We'll call this my prime meridian. And then like, oh, the sites that are over here on East Coast USA are my left shoulder, and like your coast over there on Britain, and like African coast is my right shoulder. Like, you can play games with grid work and embodiment and like working in your own field to ripple out to the whole planet.
Nice. Nice. And I will just quickly mention that Erin Teets, that I've mentioned so many times, she's the lady that does the fascist stretching that I've been connecting with, has agreed to come onto Love Speaks Love at some point. So we will be going more deeply into fascia in other episodes as well. So thank you, Julie.
Denise, it's so great to talk with you.
It's always amazing.
It gave me this nice crystalline point to a focus, which is great. Like, these conversations and code exchanges always bring something forth for me to explore more deeply. I really appreciate that.
I love you.
That cat, you're beautiful. Thank you, everybody who spent their time, their attention particles watching us today or in the replay.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And we will see you. I'll be chatting to Mr. Medina at 8 o'clock in an hour and a quarter. So hopefully see some of you there.
Busy Denise day.
I will see you again soon, Julie. Thank you so much.
Denise.
Bye, everyone.